Hello everyone and welcome to another Go Go Muffin video. Before we dive in here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell and drop a like on the video too if you're enjoying the content. Don't forget to join our Discord server as well if you're not already there. The link is in the description down below. We've also activated our channel membership which comes with all kinds of perks, so check that out if you're interested in joining. And speaking of channel membership, I do want to take a moment to give a special shout out to our current members. So thanks to all of you, and I hope you're enjoying the benefits. And finally, a reminder that all comments on every video will be automatically entered into our weekly giveaways. Winners will be randomly selected every Monday. So good luck, and let's get this started.
Alright, so it's time for us to take yet another look at future content, a continuation of the mounts previews. We're going to be taking a look in this video at Generation 5 mounts, which are a fair ways off compared to where we are in our current version in global. We are currently on Generation 2, which means up next is Generation 3, then 4, and then finally Generation 5, which is what we're looking at in today's video. But I still think it's very interesting to take a look at this future content and just to get a sense of how the game is going to continue to evolve, grow, and scale. And it's very cool to see this comparison to the mounts we currently have in the game. So without further ado, let's start taking a look at these Generation 5 mounts. And we're going to start by taking a look, and again, before we get into this, I will say it is like with all mount generations, 4 new mounts as part of Generation 5. So the first mount is the Trade Wing Butterfly. So the opening skill changed the direction of the wind. So it flaps its wings and changes the direction of the wind, increasing all damage dealt by 5% plus 20k, and increases your skill damage and crit damage by 20% for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, the crit damage increase or skill damage increase is retained and switches every 30 seconds. So this is the first time we've actually seen crit damage and general skill damage in a mount skill. So that's going to be quite a lot of damage. So you have this 20% increase to both crit damage and skill damage dealt for 30 seconds, and then after that it's going to randomly swap between either crit damage or skill damage every 30 seconds. So very interesting effect, and I can tell you for sure looking at these Gen 5 mounts that this is going to be the best in slot for DPS. Now the blue, purple, and gold stars are generally the same in all mount generations with some minor changes. So this one is going to be in boss battles, you deal an additional 4% to enemies, and the purple 5 stars is increasing your attack by an additional 22% for the first minute of battle, and then gold 5 stars, once again we see this accumulated damage you deal dealt as true damage after a certain duration. So that's the first of the 4 mounts. Next up we have the Stone Guardian. Now the Stone Guardian, hopefully this is going to be best in the slot for tanks given the name, but let's read it and see if it is. So the opening skill, Suppress Evil Spirits. The Stone Guardian enters into the statue state, which increases the damage you deal by 12% and absorbs 6% of the damage you take. Okay. After absorbing 100% of your max HP, or when the opening skill ends, the damage dealt increases by an additional 8% and basic attacks dealt to you reduced by 10% until the end of battle. Very, very nice skill, and thankfully, yes, the mount named Stone Guardian is in fact best for tanks. It would have been weird if this was best for DPS or healing, but it is in fact best for tanks. And it's nice to see this. It's a pretty interesting skill in the sense that it absorbs all this damage, and then when you absorb up to 100% of your max HP, you get this additional effect of dealing number 1 more damage, but also reducing all of the basic attack damage you receive by 10%, which is significant because you're the target of a boss, and as you get into harder and harder content, those basic attacks hurt. They deal a lot of damage. So that's a nice tanking mount, and it's nice as one thing that's an observation is as you progress through the mount generations, it becomes increasingly clear which mounts are best for which combat role. In the first generation, it was like, is this one kind of okay? This one's kind of okay. Well, I guess we can use this one. But as you progress, it's very, very clear. Okay, this is best for tanks, no question. Okay, this is best for healers, no question, etc. So let's now look at the third mount in this Generation 5, and that is going to be Evil Spirit, which is an interesting name because this mount does not look very evil at all. It just looks like a cute piñata. So, Evil Spirit with an opening skill called Treasure Catcher. Increase your attack power by 14% plus 20,000 and dig treasures in the scene. Digging treasures will grant an additional 15% damage dealt. During the last challenge of the final dream, your attack power will increase further by 15%. And in a Nightmare Frenzy, every 30 seconds, increase all your stats by 1.5% by which can be increased by 10. Wait, which can be stacked 10 times. Holy moly. And in all of the scenes, the attack power increase effect will double for 60 seconds. Okay, so this is a bit of a complicated skill, and I'm doing my best to deal with the translation here. So right away, this is the best for healers. And essentially, this is a mount that has a skill where you go into different dream states, and depending on the dream state you get different effects. For example, increasing your attack by 15% or increasing your mastery, as I said all stats, but it's a poor translation of mastery, by 1.5%, which stacks up to 10 times, so 15% mastery and potentially doubled attack power increase. So a absolutely insane mount for healing, and this will just while that opening skill is active, you're just going to be healing like an absolute beast with all these additional stats. Very clearly best in slot for healers, which is interesting that the quote-unquote Evil Spirit is also the best for healers, which is like holy healing, etc. But actually, hey, Evil Spirit increases your healing. Funny how that works. So now we go to the fourth mount here, and unfortunately this is not a case of saving the best for last. This is a mount that is pretty much only going to be useful in a support slot for you. So the Leopard goes into a hunting state, which increases your damage dealt by 14%, and in addition, every 10 seconds the Leopard will hunt random enemies, reflecting 8% of the damage you took in the last 10 seconds. Now when you compare this to the other mounts, I don't know, my gut feeling is like the devs came up with 3 really cool mounts, and they're like, but we've done 4 mounts in all previous generations. We got to come up with another one, right? And they just kind of threw this mount together just to make sure they had a 4th one. So I don't think it's a particularly good support skill of any kind, opening skill of any type. Sorry, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's just not in any way, shape, or form compared to the other 3 going to be any value to us as players. So definitely a mount that feels like it's just thrown into so they could have 4 mounts in the generation, and ultimately it's just going to sit in your support stats and your support slot, and you're going to get stats from it, and that's it. So anyway, there you have it. That's going to be our complete Generation 5 mounts. Pretty cool. Again, we're seeing this trend that as we get further and further into generations, it does feel like between each generation the power gap is increasing. In the first 1, 2, and 3 generations, it was like small increase, 1% here and there, but now it's starting to go pretty heavy duty. So we only have 1 generation left, at least in what's been announced, and that's going to be Generation 6, which we will cover in a future video. So there you have it. Hope you found this interesting and informative, and as always, we'll take care and see you in the next video. Bye now.